And as thousands of fresh graduates line up for jobs, it is important to know the basics in ensuring occupational safety and health. Now, to discuss it with us this morning is Dr. Dulce Estrella-Gust. She's a consultant on occupational safety and health. Good morning, Doctora.
Good morning, Claire.
Good morning. So, there's a lot of graduates out there right now, and
Yes.
they're probably trying to figure out what jobs that they would like to enter. So it's important for them to know the safety and hazards for each position and each job. So what are the most common work-related diseases?
Well, actually, there are several, but I think on top of the list are occupational related respiratory ailments, because it is airborne. You have, of course, diseases that are of the kidney, diseases basically caused by exposure to chemicals, diseases of the skin, and asthma. There are over 200,000 chemicals in workplaces. 200 chemicals in workplaces, sorry.
Oh, so chemicals that are found in a workplace can cause skin diseases.
Skin diseases
Or
and
asthma.
asthma.
Okay, and what do you think are the measures that should be observed in the work environment to avoid these hazards?
Okay, well, actually, we follow the Occupational Safety and Health standards of the Department of Labor and Employment. That's as old as 1978. Of course, there are recent policies and programs. We are supposed to give them strong preventive measures, meaning they should know how to recognize hazards, how to recognize potential risks, how to recognize potential harm, meaning what kind of illnesses or disabilities or injuries or fatalities probably can happen if they don't do anything in controlling those hazards and risks.
Mm-hmm. And what profession do you think are the most exposed to these hazards?
Well, there are many belonging to the hazardous occupations, and I can tell you one is in construction, second is in mining, transportation, people working in chemical factories. These are the most hazardous occupations.
Okay, and what about the industries that we know about and probably a lot of people are in right now? In the workplace, in offices. What do you think how are they exposed to hazards in their workplace?
Yes, you will be surprised because even they are in the best air-conditioned rooms, they can still be exposed. Okay, we can talk about ergonomic hazards as well as psychosocial hazards. Ergonomic, yung pag-angkop ng trabaho sa tao, no? The work should be designed for the person, for the employer, not the other way around, employee. Psychosocial hazards can range from stress to drugs and alcohol, to tobacco, to HIV/AIDS, being subject or victims of violence and sexual harassment, etc.
Okay, so you're saying that stress-related symptoms that they feel because of a workplace or because of their jobs could lead to these hazards.
Yeah, it could lead to the harm.
To the harm.
Yes.
Okay, and you also mentioned sexual harassment. So for women in the workplace who are possibly exposed to that, so what do you think are the, how do you know, how does the woman, how would they know that they are vulnerable or they're exposed to that? And what measures can they do to avoid it or maybe do something about it?
Okay, well, let me start with the measures. We have a law which is Republic Act 7877. So that was actually signed in 1996. You're supposed to have a anti-sexual harassment policy and program in workplaces. And together with that, you're supposed to have set up a CODI or Committee on Decorum and Investigation. This is where workers could go for, if they have a complaint like that. The problem is that you're saying, how do you recognize? You see, you have to recognize the hazard. Sometimes it is not easily recognizable until it is so persistent. For example, we have a way of, guys or men. Usually the women are victimized, but of course these days anybody. It can be the other way around. It can be gays and so on. So, but sometimes just putting your arm around somebody, and if the person does not like that, and if you do it constantly and persistently, what happens to the person, to the woman, is that she becomes very uncomfortable. Sometimes she doesn't know what the whole thing, why she's being uncomfortable. It's only in the end that she realizes that, most likely there's something wrong, there's some sexual intentions and so on. But others are so obvious, like for example, people will comment, will give comments like, I like your body, I like the way you walk, like your legs, or sometimes they would, these days you can send pictures, so email messages, email, and they text pictures and so on. There's so many. The important thing is the woman or the man is being victimized. Does not want to have that kind of behavior or that kind of relationship with anybody. And this happens, actually, the law is very particular about a person in authority should not be doing that. Particularly a person in authority should not be the source of harassment. Anybody should not be the source of harassment, but a person in authority in particular is mentioned in the law. Yes.
So the key here is if the person, the woman or the man who is being harassed,
Yes.
if that person starts to feel uncomfortable
Yes.
about the situation. And now you were also the executive director of the Occupational Safety and Health Center of the Labor Department.
That was a few years ago.
A few years ago. Now, when you were there, what are the most common violations that companies usually have?
Okay. Those common violations, I still remain the same. Companies do not realize that they have to have occupational safety and health program. They have to develop a program, a preventive program, including an occupational health clinic. If it depends on the number of workers, but they have to develop occupational health and safety policy, and with that, you have to have people working around that. That is the Occupational Safety and Health Committee, and from those three, you should strategize your preventive program. And basically, these are information, training, giving the appropriate technical services, communicating, and so on.
Okay, so every business owner out there or employer should know that.
Yes.
Now, lastly, some companies are giving seminars on stress, managing stress. Are they required to do that?
Well, you are required to give any training program that will prevent people from being exposed to the different hazards, and there are many. So stress being part of the psychosocial hazards, but of course you have the physical hazards, the chemical hazards, biological hazards, and ergonomic hazards. So if you say, are they required? Yes, they are required.
They're required to do
yes.
managing stress.
That's right. Although there are some very
talks.
specific hazards that have specific policies, such as in construction, such as in infectious diseases, such as hepatitis, HIV/AIDS, drugs and alcohol. These situations and problems have specific policies that were signed after the 1978 standards.
Okay, so now for people who want to know more about this, where can they contact you or get more information?
Well, they can contact us in the cell phones and the 0917-810-3016. I think it's there.
Yes, it came out. Thank you so much, Dr. Gust, for coming in to Daybreak to talk to us about this. That was Dr. Gust, a consultant on occupational safety and healthcare.